solidarity. And I really was convinced, sadly, that if we got over the hump and got renewed, that the show would come back and be better. Because, like you were saying, at the core, our relationship and Jared and Jack, I mean, I and Buddy.
Lee Arnberg.
Lee, I mean, we all got along so well.
And the characters were so defined and so easy to write for. I mean, not easy to write for because I couldn't write for him. I'm not as good. These guys were like really...
Yeah.
Again, and Zimmerman, we're waiting to see if he shows up at any moment with Cher.
I feel like we were just getting started. You know what I mean? And like, yes, and
well, I mean, we were. I mean, it was only 8 episodes.
I mean, everybody deserves some like a little bit of rocky road, because you were finding our footing. Also, remember that terrible pressure with like Lieberman was coming out against us, and there was a lot of like anti-action.
Senator Joe Lieberman, Droopy Dog.
Yeah, there was a lot of like anti-press against us, and there was a lot of like I remember at the time the National Enquirer was I remember getting calls from my publicist saying like, well, you finally made it, you're in the Enquirer, because the National Enquirer was calling people I'd worked with to ask if I'd ever been a prostitute.
Oh my God.
So there was this crazy like kind of heady thing that I thought, well, if we can just get through this and get picked up, all of this will go away. And then, I mended all the fences, with Chris and the writers and everything like that. Because like I said, some of the writers I had great relationships with, and some of it just was like my youth and being confused and things like that. And I thought that if we got back, that everything was fine. So I was devastated when the show got canceled.
I just thought they should have moved this to another night and another time, and it just seems odd to me. And I've learned this from Last Comic Standing, being actually in the rooms where decisions are made for the first time in my life. Is they have a board of their shows, and when Doug Herzog said, "I don't have anywhere to put you," like there is literally nowhere on that board to put action unless you take this down and move it to another night. So now you're moving everything around for this headache and this super expensive show called Action.
Yes.
And I told you, I said to Doug Herzog, who was president of Fox, in hindsight, did a bang up job. Did the Jennifer Love Hewitt show that they like made him do, Time of Your Life, but then it was kind of like the Family Guy in action, like that's his legacy. Like that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And he said, I said, you got to move us to another night. You can't cancel us. He goes, I got nowhere to put you. I go, put us on after that 70s show. He goes, I can't, JJ. That's a family show. I said, family show? Every time I watch it, they're eating hash brownies. He goes, yeah, together. They're all eating them together, JJ. And I knew at that moment how far into like you talk about the depths of addiction, I knew how far into the depths of television I had wandered when a guy saying, yeah, but they're all eating hash brownies together.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
But I really, really never thought that we would get canceled. You know what I mean? And
well, I thought we wouldn't get canceled because I was like this naive, like you say, young, I thought content mattered. And that was, to me, the bell that got rung in my life of content doesn't mean shit. Like, if you think your show's not going to get canceled because it's terrific and no one watches it and it hemorrhages money, then you're a fool. And so now, in my career, I'm really looking forward to doing dog shit. And I'm not even kidding. Like, you can put me on a dog shit show that you can name it the Dog Shit Show. Jay Mohr in the Dog Shit Show.
Yeah.
And just pay me, and it can just make a lot of money, and I'll walk in and go, hey, wait, my avocados! And there'll be a laugh track, and there'll be a robot in the corner. There'll be like little people making chocolate, little chocolatiers. Hoarders. We'll combine all the elements.
Well, I still do think that, and I've thought about this many, many times, especially, post Entourage, it would be very interesting to re-explore action.
That's what people want.
Especially at the age that I am now. I'm
30 years old.
I'm about to turn...
Had a birthday. 31 next week.
Slippery slope, 47.
47?
And
you look great.
Thank you. In a few weeks.
Did you say 47?
Yes.
Yeah, you look about right.
But... Bastard.
Sorry. That's just because you took my call back away.
As you're talking about it, and I'm talking about it, interestingly, I'm now the right kind of frame of mind. I've been through all the ups and downs to fully understand who Wendy Ward is, and would love another crack at it. And plus, I love working.
You're
with
like
you.
a real actor. Like you really like that sentence you just said is so bizarre to me.
Really?
Like I know who the character. I've always been a very Mehmetian guy of just say these words, stand where they tell you to stand, say the words, and then just let's take a nap at lunch. No. I never once thought like, what was his relationship with his parents like? Where's he come from? What's his like? That's never crossed my mind.
Well, but yet, like from some of the things that you were saying, some of the things that I was saying before, like that show is my life, and like the minute I used to dread leaving the set because my life at the time was very unhappy. So the only happy part for me was the 12, 13 hours of getting there, and again. I think that's part of what made the show so good is that we probably all were.
We all loved going to work every day.
Yeah, we loved going to work every day. And
Hackett wore his lucky jade ring.
He wore his ring. I remember when we got canceled. He cried. He cried. It was devastating. I remember when he said he had to do his final line with me, pick a winner, and I was like,
pick a winner, kid.
Oh my God, I was crying and
because you leave Hollywood in the finale, and I have a heart attack and die.
You have a heart attack and die.
Don Rio, that brilliant son of a bitch, said we had to rewrite when we found out we were canceled. We'd sort of finished episode. We just had 2 other episodes in the can, so they had to rewrite the episode to coincide with the cancellation. They didn't have to. That's how smart these writers were.
Yeah.
And Don Rio being the new head of the Snake at that time and really running it on all cylinders. And an idol of mine as far as writing and, I don't know, keeping shit running, keep the trains running on time.
Yeah.
He had I have a heart attack. And then in the episodes that we filmed that never aired, I wake up in bed and my ex-wife is on the bed trying to make me die so she can get all my money. Like she's laying on my hoses and stuff and my tubes.
Yeah.
And then it just went on. Like I wake up and I'm going to turn my life around and Peter Dragon's going back to work. But then all those didn't air. So that's what you're missing. That's what's missing in case you guys, because I get asked a lot. What didn't air? But then they rewrote the EMT guy in the ambulance. We had to shoot, and we had like 10 minutes to shoot it.
Yeah, God.
The guy takes my pulse and goes, "He's dead." And the other guy goes, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's a nice watch." And the guy takes the watch off the watch that I owned. I had a gold Rolex that I bought with my Guido money from Jersey that I made from like MTV's Lip Service. My first purchase was a gold Rolex so I could be on Jersey Shore one day. And then literally they rewrote the EMT going, what's the time of death? And the other guy goes, 9:30 Thursday night.
I know.
And I'm like, holy, like that's the level of smarts that we were dealing with.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear that? I don't know if you ever knew this. When Salma Hayek came in, she was going to leave because they had her. I guess they had transference anger from you onto her. They had her like complaining to me that I made her like jerk me off, and the time I made her have sex with my friends and all that. And she read the script. I guess she was doing it as a favor to Joel Silver. You don't know about this?
I'm remembering it. Yes.
She came in with about 14 people.
I remember.
One was
there
her
were
brother.
Notes. Yeah, the notes.
And she went through the wardrobe. She had to come in 2 hours early for a wardrobe fitting. But a wardrobe fitting to a Salma Hayek is, I like this, and she hands it to someone, and they put it in the car to go home.
Yes.
It's not wardrobe fitting for clothes you want to wear.
Yes.
It's a whole other level of celebrity.
Yes.
Like, this is really nice. This is good. You know what? I'll give this to my mom.
Yes.
Like, oh, thanks. And it's also probably very European, like, hey, I know she's Mexican, but very European, like, this is a nice suit. I'll give it to my brother, you know?
Yes.
So she says, I cannot say this, you know, and this, you know, she's leaving the building. And it was, you know, it says that I had to masturbate you, and that's disgusting. This is ridiculous. Meanwhile, she has like $6,000 of dresses, more. Yeah. $6,000 a dress. They're all couture dresses and stuff.
Yes.
And then I go, no, because I knew Chris was absent. Yeah. And I knew Don was swimming up to his head in it. And so I said, here's the thing. We're going to redo it. They made a mistake because this was for someone else. You're Salma Hayek. You're way smarter than this. This would never happen to you. Like, I'm just saying I'm just like selling used car salesman. Look, you're Salma Hayek. Everyone knows you're known for your intelligence. Everyone knows how smart you are. So why don't we say, this is how it should be for you. Remember the time you tried to get me to touch your penis.
Yes.
And she goes, oh, okay. And then I see, like, I haven't really sold her. I go, and then you slap me in the face. Because that's the type, you defend yourself. Like, and I'm just going. And now I got her with the slap. So now I have to write in like 8 times. And then now she's going, and then I slap you in the face again with my other hand. And I go, yeah, exactly. So now she's staying because she gets to go. Then you told me your penis was a puppet and wanted me to do a puppet show and I go, no, you wanted me to do nudity. And I'm like, nudity is essential to the character. She goes, I was playing the nun. And then I hit you with both hands.
Yes.
And I'm like, right, perfect. And I remember handing and I'm rewriting this in a pencil on the floor of the wardrobe room. And I handed to I think it was like Neil Hamburger, one of the Hamburger brothers.
Yeah, the Hamburger brothers were there.
I go, give this to Don and tell him this is what we're shooting today.
Yeah.
And I knew that Don and I would just keep, the ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Don't hit the rocks. And they're like, yeah. I'm paraphrasing, but there's a real ambiguous power structure right now, so we're probably going to have to run it up the flagpole in the right. None of this was said, but they were really I go fucking give this to Don now, or I'm going to fight you in front of Salma Hayek. So they leave, and it's I go, just print it. We're shooting this now. And then Don comes in. I go, I rewrote this, and this is how it goes. And he kind of looks at it and goes, great. He's just happy she's staying. And then as we're walking to the stage for that fake restaurant, her brother goes, you know what also might be funny? And Rio goes, hey, buddy, if that wasn't your sister, you'd be doing a fucking burro show in Tijuana. So I don't really care what you think is funny.
No.
And then everything froze because we either lost her.
Yeah.
And she points at her brother and goes, ha, 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 ha. And basically told her brother, keep your mouth shut. So then we shot the scene and she was great.
Yeah. No, I remember that. It's all confirmed. And because Jane Janiger, who was the costumer, the wardrobe person, she later did Easy to Assemble. She did our wardrobe, and then one of our episodes that we did, Celebrity Intervention, was about actresses walking away with clothing, because I had told Justine about Action. I was like, when we were doing the show, Selma Hayek, they were
nice. I like this.
I like this, and they're thinking it's for the show, and they're like, no, I just like this.
Yeah.
I want it.
There's only one outfit in this scene.
There's only one.
And poor Jane is probably thinking well, where's she going to change into all these clothes? And then you just hear a Prius leaving the lot.
Yeah, Jane was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm loading up her car with clothing,
I think Action has to come back. If it comes back at all, it would have to be like a low-budget movie, like you're doing with the rest of the development. It can't come back as a show, because I think that'd be really sad.
No.
Us chasing what was.
No, because I think it starts from what we, from now, all the missing 10 years. And I think Peter Dragon is probably, maybe we both meet up in rehab and we start all over again.
That would be a good, you know what? I don't know why. I mean, they got, little people making chocolate on the Learning Channel, the Littlest Chocolatiers. How is Action not back? There's 2 hoarding shows on at the same time.
Well, we have on my, No, and shows, there's a lot of shows about heavy people too, I noticed. It doesn't seem to be any
Do you love those shows? Be honest.
I'm shocked at how is there really that many overweight people? Not a little overweight.
Yeah, 1,000 pounds.
There's
half-ton mom.
Yeah, there's more.
It's like the old Jonathan Solomon joke. He goes, necrophilia doesn't freak me out. What freaks me out is that enough people do it, there's a name for it.
Oh, no.
It's so that there's enough people that are 1,000 pounds that there's a series.
Yeah, there's a whole series of getting someone out of the house to,
take a wall
to live their life.
Hey, I want to go outside. Could you call the fire department for me? Oh, man. When you go home, because you always strike me as this erudite real actor person. So I'm just like a comic. So I'm just watching SportsCenter and fat people on TV. What do you watch?
What do I watch? Well, I turn to classic movies, probably.
Got a girl. Studying the greats to talk like this, eh?
90% of the time, I've probably got Turner Classic Movies on.
Although
I am watching the Olympics now.
Well, they're not on
trials.
Yet. The trials, yeah. What happened at this Les Moonves party?
That was some party.
I wasn't invited.
I remember.
And I had the job.
It was, oh, yeah, there was, I think it was sort of in celebration. I'm trying to remember. It was like around I had done Bella Mafia, maybe, and that was a big hit. I don't know.
Bella Mafia?
Yeah, it was a miniseries. You know, it was
I like only a network would throw themselves a party for a moderately successful miniseries. Like, let's do it. Send out the shuttles, pick everyone up, and bring them up the winding road.
Well, that had followed The Last Don. I don't know. There was a bunch of, in those days, somebody recently said to me, I was talking about something in the 90s, and they were like, oh, back in the day. And so I was like, oh my God, the 90s is already back in the day. But back in the day, there would be parties. Remember, people would send you gifts. Solidarity. And I really was convinced, sadly, that if we got over the hump and got renewed, that the show would come back and be better. Because, like you were saying, at the core, our relationship and Jared and Jack, I mean, I and Buddy.
Lee Arnberg.
We all got along so well.
And the characters were so defined and so easy to write for. I mean, not easy to write for because I couldn't write for him. I'm not as good. These guys were like really nowhere on that board to put action unless you take this down and move it to another night. So now you're moving everything around for this headache and this super expensive show called Action.
Yes.
And I told you, I said to Doug Herzog, who was president of Fox, in hindsight, did a bang-up job. Did the Jennifer Love Hewitt show that they made him do, Time of Your Life. But then it was kind of like the Family Guy in action. Like, that's his legacy. Like, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And he said, I said, you got to move us to another night. You can't cancel us. He goes, I got nowhere to put you. I go, put us.
The National Enquirer was, I remember getting calls from my publicist saying like, well, you finally made it. You're in the Enquirer. Because the National Enquirer was calling people I'd worked with to ask if I'd ever been a prostitute.
Oh my God.
So there was this crazy, kind of heady thing that I thought, well, if we can just get through this and get picked up, all of this will go away. And then, I mended all the fences, with Chris and the writers and everything like that. Because,
Again, and Zimmerman, we're waiting to see if he shows up at any moment with Cher.
I feel like we were just getting started. You know what I mean? And yes, and
well, I mean, we were. I mean, it was only 8 episodes.
I mean, everybody deserves some a little bit of rocky road, because you were finding our footing. Also, remember that terrible pressure with Lieberman was coming out against us, and there was a lot of anti-action.
Senator Joe Lieberman, Droopy Dog.
Yeah, there was a lot of anti-press against us, and there was a lot of I remember at the time said some of the writers I had great relationships with, and some of it just was my youth and being confused and things like that, and I thought that if we got back, that everything was fine. So I was devastated when the show got canceled.
I just thought they should have moved us to another night and another time, and it just seems odd to me. And I've learned this from Last Comic Standing, being actually in the rooms where decisions are made for the first time in my life. Is they have a board of their shows, and when Doug Herzog said, "I don't have anywhere to put you," there is literally